Hey everyone, welcome. This tutorial, I'm sharing with you 3 very cute snowman themed Christmas ornaments. Welcome back to my subscribers and to all visiting my channel today. If you are new to my channel, I hope you will consider subscribing. And if you like these very cute snowman ornaments, I hope you will give this tutorial a thumbs up. Okay, let's get busy making these very cute snowman themed Christmas ornaments. Let's look at the materials that we will need to create these ornaments. First up, we're going to be doing the 2 ornaments with the wood ball for a head. I purchased these wood balls at Hobby Lobby in the woodcraft department. They come in a package. They are 1.5 inches. And every other week, Hobby Lobby has their wood products 40% off. Going to be doing 2 snowman ornaments, so you'll need 2 of those wooden balls. I also purchased these Christmas socks in the sock department at Walmart. I love to buy Christmas socks to do Christmas crafts. You can do so many things with Christmas socks. It's just the right type of fabric for crafting. I had there a wooden dowel that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I believe it's 12 inches long. They come, I believe, 10 in a pack. I have there my miter shears, which I'm going to be using to cut a nose for each of those snowmen. I have here some Waverly chalk paint in the color pumpkin for the nose and crimson red for blushing the cheeks. I also have some antiquing wax by Waverly. I have some yarn. I'm going to be creating a little pom-pom tassel for the top of one of the hats, a little piece of scrap cardboard for creating that pom-pom, some paintbrushes, a paper plate, and a paper towel for painting, scissors, a glue gun, and also you'll need some just some silver craft wire that I picked up at Dollar Tree. I have here some little tiny snowflakes that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. You'll need some wood glue to glue on the wooden dowel that is going to serve as the nose on each of those wood ball heads. So I chose 2 of the socks from the pack of socks that I bought at Walmart. Now these are, as I said, wonderful for crafting. Now I am planning to cut this sock in a shape, this particular one, and the shape of the long a long tail on the hat. Now right now I'm just sizing out what I need to do and how that ball is going to fit with this project and this sock. So I'm just trying it out here. You can see I'm wrapping the band of the sock around the wood ball, and I'm planning out how I'm going to cut the material for my hat. Now I have no pattern for this. I just love crafting and figuring out as I go along. And so if you're interested in doing a craft like this, I'm basically figuring it out for you and showing you how I did it. So I decided the length of the hat that I wanted, and I wrapped that sock around the ball to figure out if it would go around the head comfortably, and it does very well with a little bit of excess to cut off there. So I'm cutting this shape of the hat, and I'm going to keep placing this around the ball because I want to be sure that I'm getting the shape of the hat correct. Now, be careful when you do this. Don't cut off too much. Better to cut off little bits of fabric rather than to cut off too much. Now I'm wrapping this sock, the band part, the red band that you see there by my hand, that's going to go around the head. I'm still making sure that it's fitting correctly before I cut off any more fabric. And now I've decided that this is the basic shape of the hat. And so I'm going to take my Aleene's tacky glue. I'm not sure, I don't think I mentioned that in the items needed for this project, but I'm using Aleene's tacky glue. It's great for gluing together fabric. Now, as you can see there, and if you haven't watched my previous 2 videos, I have a sling on my arm, so I'm a little bit handicapped. I fractured my arm, but I'm back to crafting, but just very, very small projects. So I hope you'll be patient with me while I show you how I made these ornaments. A little bit of limited dexterity in one hand, but I think I can successfully show you how I did this. So I glued together the seam of my hat, and I stopped with the glue just before the band, that red band that goes around the head, because I want to wait and close that up completely when I'm ready to glue that hat on the wood ball. So for right now, I've done as much as I'm going to do. I'm going to let that dry. And I see I have a little bit of leftover sock, and already in my mind I'm thinking I can use that for something. So don't throw it away. These socks are so great for creating gnome bodies, by the way. To place a styrofoam ball in a sock for the body of a gnome, oh my goodness, so perfect for that. Okay, so this particular hat, I'm going to make this a shorter hat, kind of like I guess you call it a stocking hat, just not long like the other one. This one is going to be a shorter style hat, and it's going to have a big pom-pom on the top. So again, you see me wrapping around the band on the sock right there at the top where my fingers are, and this is a great way to fit that sock around that ball head. You notice I keep trying it out, making sure that I'm not cutting away any fabric that I shouldn't be cutting. Now that hat on both of those balls is going to be glued around the head with hot glue. But right now, just what I'm trying to do is get the shape right for the hat. So I'm trimming away little bits at a time, fitting my hat. You can see the top of this hat is going to be shorter, it's going to kind of be a little bit slouchy, if that's a word, on the top of the hat. You'll see what I mean by this in a little while. Maybe that word wasn't correct, but I wanted to kind of drape or be just kind of slouched down on the top of the head. Okay, so I've arrived at what I think is a good shape for the hat. Now I'm just going to glue together again the back seam. That's all you need to glue, is the seam that goes right down the back of the hat. Because the top of the hat we're going to be gathering and wrapping wire around to close that off. So right now all you have to do is create those seams that go down the back of the hat. And there we have it. Our 2 different hats to go on the 2 different balls. Okay, now I'm going to be working on the face of those snowman heads. So I put a piece of duct tape down so that my balls would not be rolling away every 2 seconds. Now, my mistake I realized later was when I pulled the duct tape off and it ripped off the finish. That's just a Dollar Tree peel and stick there on cardboard, so I actually ruined my work surface, not realizing that the duct tape would tear off the finish, but that's okay. Okay, so I have my miter shears there, and these are great for cutting any kind of wood, or especially like thin dowels. Now I set my setting on my miter shears so that I have just a little bit of an angle when I cut these dowels, because when I place the nose of the snowman on the wood round, I don't want it to stick straight out like a Pinocchio nose, if you will. I want it to kind of tilt downward, and if I cut my dowel with a little bit of an angle, when I wood glue that on the face, it's going to tilt a little bit. I also angled the ends so it would have like a pointy end to the nose, trying to simulate a carrot with a wood dowel. Not easy to do, but I'm doing the best I can here. Now I ended up at the very end cutting the nose shorter on these snowman heads. I did that after they were all completely finished, but the way that I adhered them to the wood balls is exactly the way I'm doing it now. I just later came in with my miter shears after the snowman heads were completed, and I just cut them a little bit shorter. Now, as far as the length of the nose, I want to say maybe a half an inch, maybe a touch less. I put a little bit of wood glue on this paper plate. I just need a little dab of wood glue. So I dipped my dowel in it, in that little dab of wood glue, and I'm going to go ahead and place it on my wood ball to dry. Now I chose to do wood glue as opposed to any other type of glue, because when you store the ornaments away and they're in a box with a lot of other ornaments, I thought it would be a good idea to have the strongest hold so that next year when you take out your ornaments, you still have noses on your snowman. So I dipped both of my wood dowels in that wood glue, placed them on the wood balls, and now I'm just going to let them dry for quite a few hours before I handle the balls to finish the face. I have a little piece of cardboard there for one of the snowmen. In fact, it's not going to be either one of these two. As it turned out, I ended up using this pom-pom on the third snowman that we're going to be doing in this tutorial. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did it. I know everyone has different opinions on how to do pom-poms, but this is the way I do it. I cut out a piece of cardboard in the approximate length that I think I want my pom-pom. And in this case, I'm wrapping it around, I want to say about 25 times. And this is a very soft, beautiful white yarn that I'm going to be creating a pom-pom, which is going to go on the hat of one of our snowman ornaments today. I also cut one extra little piece of yarn, and I'm going to feed that underneath that yarn that I wrapped. I'm just going to shove it through with my scissors, and I'm going to tie a very tight knot, a double knot, around that yarn. Really tight, and a double knot just to be sure it's adhered well and tight. And then I just slide that yarn off the cardboard. Now it's better to overestimate how big you want your pom-pom than to underestimate. In this case, I overestimated. Nothing unusual for me. When it comes to pom-poms, I generally do that. So what I'm going to do now is, firstly, I'm going to be trimming this way down because I actually want it to become in the shape of a ball to put on that hat. Now, this particular yarn is very soft, and the more you handle it, the more it frays, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I want that pom-pom to be very fuzzy and very soft and very full. So what I do now is just start what you see me doing with my fingers, and I trimmed it down even more. And now see how fluffy it is? And just from handling it, I just take my fingers and work the yarn. And now I have this very cute, fuzzy pom-pom. It's actually not going to go on that hat, but I was just checking it out. Okay, so our noses are dry now. And you can see that I took a pencil and I drew on the eyes and the mouth. Actually, the mouth is just a series of little dots. And I'll show you more closely how I did the face there in just a moment. Okay, so I already have it painted on, but this is how I did the face. I did little ovals for the eyes. Again, that nose is going to be shorter. And little eyebrows out of antiquing wax. I also shaded the nose a little bit with antiquing wax. I took a dry brush and brushed on my pink cheeks. And I took a very tiny, tiny paintbrush with a very fine tip. And I put in with Waverly antiquing wax, I created the little dots for the mouth. Now I'm going to show you how I made the hanger for these two ornaments. I have some twine from Crafter's Square. I just pulled off a piece that long enough for a hanger for these ornaments. And I have here 2 little beads. They're very cute ones. They have lines, grooves in them. I got them at Hobby Lobby a while back. So I'm going to fold my twine in half, and I'm going to feed both ends of that twine through the bead. And I'm going to decide how big I want my loop at the top for the hanger. And when I've decided, I'll move my bead down just a little bit and just tie a knot there. And now we have 2 hangers all ready to go for those ornaments. Okay, so it's time to put the hats on. So we're going to start with a shorter hat. You can see that band that I've been referring to. That goes on the head, and it's going to be wrapped around the head of that snowman. Now, I made sure not to cover up the eyebrows because I think that's a very cute feature on a snowman face. By the way, if you are interested in looking up snowman faces, it's very easy to Google that, and you can find many, many snowman faces, different ways to paint them online. So I wrapped this hat around the head of my ball, and underneath that red band, I put very modest, tiny amounts of hot glue to hold that in place. Now I'm going to take a piece of wire, and right at the very top of that hat, I scrunch it all up, gather it all up very tightly, and I'm going to take that wire and wrap it around and secure the top of that hat. I wrap it around, I want to say 4 or 5 times. I'm going to cut off the excess. And I squeeze that wire really tight. One other thing I do is I take pliers and I squeeze that wire really, really tight with the pliers. Now that's very secure. And what I'm going to do then is just trim off the excess. Now when you go to put the pom-pom on the hat, that's going to be an extra security with glue to be sure that stays nice and closed up. Now, believe it or not, I have crafts like crazy craft supplies, but I could not find a white pom-pom to put on top of this hat. I can't believe that. But anyway, so remember, if you watched my last tutorial, I used this chunky yarn to create my cupcake ornaments. If you didn't see that video, you'll have to check it out. But you can actually make a pom-pom with that yarn. So what I do is I cut a sufficient amount to go around the top of that hat. I wrap it around in the shape of a pom-pom. And then I put a little bit of extra on top with a little dab of glue. And I just glued on my little snowflake embellishment on the side of the hat, right on that band that goes around the head. And I did the same thing, put the hat on exactly the same way for my long hat. I wrapped it around the face, making sure I didn't cover up the eyebrows. Tiny dabs of glue to secure it to the head around the face. And I just glued on my little snowflake embellishment. And again, I had to create a pom-pom for the end of his hat. But again, that's very easy to do with that chunky yarn if you find yourself, like I was, without a white pom-pom. I'm showing you here, I glued my tails of my hanger on either side of the seam of the hat in the back. And that will hold that hanger on just fine. And here you have these two adorable, super cute snowman head ornaments. And again, you'll see later in the finished product that I did cut those noses a little bit shorter. And here's ornament number 3, and there's that pom-pom. And this one's a super cute one. It's so easy to make. Here's another sock that came in that pack from Walmart. I have here a wood round that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I believe it's about 3.5 inches in diameter. And this wood round happens to fit perfectly in this sock. Now these are like anklet socks, so they have like just the right band around the top of the sock to fit this wood slice in there. That's going to be the pom-pom for the top of the hat. I'm going to use a piece of black wire to create a very cute mouth with a black wire that I picked up at Crafter's Square at the Dollar Tree. We'll also be using the silver again to wrap the top of the hat. And I used a craft stick, one of the thicker, bigger ones, and I used scissors and I cut out a nose in the shape of a carrot. We're going to be using Snow White Waverly chalk paint to paint the snowman's head. You'll need some paintbrushes, scissors of course, hot glue. I'm going to be using that Crimson Waverly chalk paint for a little blush on the cheeks, some Mod Podge. I have there some glitter, but I ended up using a little bit of the snow, which I love, from Dollar Tree. I'll show you that in a bit. Okay, now I remember I said that this wood round fit beautifully in this sock. The only thing you have to do is push the heel of the sock up into the hat. Just secure that with a little bit of hot glue, and that hat is a perfect size for that 3.5-inch wood round. That was very lucky. Now I have to decide how tall do I want my hat. And I decided that I was going to cut that off right at that line there that you see me pointing to. I'm going to cut that off, and then later I'm going to be gathering that up and wrapping it with wire, just like I did the other hats that you saw on the other two ornaments. So here I have some Waverly Snow White chalk paint, and I painted both sides of this wood round with that Snow White Waverly chalk paint. I'm also going to be painting my nose with that Waverly pumpkin chalk paint. I also later on took a paintbrush with a really tiny fine tip, and I created with that antiquing wax just some little tiny faint lines going across that carrot, just to try and make it look a little bit more like a carrot. I'll show you how I did that later. But you're going to go ahead and paint both. You didn't have to paint both sides, by the way. I think I did, but you didn't have to, because that's going to be glued down to the face. Not sure what I was thinking there when I painted both sides. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. Now, there are numerous ways to rosy up cheeks on a project. You do you. I generally just keep it simple, and I use a red paint. I dip my paintbrush in the paint, and then I take a paper towel and I just keep rubbing the bristles until I got a very faint little bit of paint still left on my brush, and then very lightly I just brush it on where I want it. Now I'm going to have rosy cheeks on my snowman. Now, when you do it this way, if you happen to get a little blob or an area that's a little bit darker than you wanted it to be when you're rosying up the cheeks, no problem. Just get another paintbrush, dip it back in your original color, which would be the Snow White Waverly chalk paint, and just take the tip of your brush and just dab a little bit over the areas where you were a little maybe heavy-handed, or maybe your brush had a little too much on it for the rosying of the cheeks. Is that a word, rosying? Oh, goodness me. I think I have a whole different vocabulary going on. Okay, so I made a little change here, and I decided that I wanted to have more of a textured paint on my snowman head. So what I did was I got out a bit of baking soda, and I just mixed it in with my Waverly Snow White chalk paint until it was very grainy or had a texture to it. And then I just dabbed it all over that wood round. So because I did that, now I have to go back in again and rosy up my cheeks, but that's okay. Now I see a little area there even as I'm looking at it, and I went back over that, and it was a little bit heavy-handed. So it's very easy to correct if you get a little too much. Now I put 2 little dots for the eyes where I wanted the eyes. Now I'm taking a paintbrush with a very fine tip, and I'm actually using black for this. I make the eyebrows with antiquing wax, but the eyes I make black, and I put a little tiny white dot in each eye for the light in the eye. See the little marks on the carrot? I just took that same tiny brush, and I just drew some lines across it with the paintbrush. Now I'm going to do a wire mouth. I really like doing this. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I cut a long piece of wire, maybe 10 inches, and I take the wire and wrap it around the end of those pliers. I wrap it around about 5 times. Then I just start shaping the mouth, just making kind of a wiggly looking pattern. Just making my mouth, as you can see the mouth there on the snowman head. I'm making another one here just to show you. And then when I get to the end, when I have my mouth all formed, I wrap it around again about 5 times. So each end has like a coiled up area. And this makes a really cute snowman mouth. Very easy to do. Okay, so I have my eyes, my eyebrows, my rosy cheeks. Now I'm going to place my mouth, which kind of curls up on one side. I really like that look. And I'm going to take Aileen's tacky glue, and I'm going to glue down my nose. And I'm also going to do the same for the mouth. Now, if you want to create a hanger that coordinates with the mouth, you could do that by creating the same structure that you did the mouth, only longer, and you can use that as a hanger, if that made any sense. You create the same thing that you did for the mouth, but keep in mind that it's going to be a hanger for the ornament. Just make it longer if you want to use that. I decided to use a piece of ribbon, a nice fabric ribbon from the not from the Dollar Tree, from a Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I glued around the face the hat. Now I'm gluing across the back. That's the same thing you do on the front, you just saw me do on the back. And place your hat on exactly the way you want it. I wanted to make sure that my eyebrows weren't covered up, or my eyes. I took a very, very, very tiny amount of batting and just stuck it in there, trying to give the hat a little bit of shape. You'll see that I want to as well have this hat kind of slouch, if you will. I'm not sure that's the right word, but I think you get the idea. Like that. That's what I wanted it to do. Whatever that is that I just did with my hand, that's what I wanted. All right, so we're going to gather it at the top. And once again, we're going to take our silver wire and we're going to wrap it around and close up the top of that hat. Nice tight closure of that hat. And you're going to wrap it around about 4 or 5 times, nice and tight. Before you cut off the excess, you want to be sure it's really tightly closed up. And there's that cute pom-pom that I made. Now you can also take your pliers, which I think I did. Actually, I think I just didn't do it while I was filming. And just squeeze the top there where that wire is, like I did the other one. And I'm going to really cut down that excess there. And that's going to have hot glue on it, so that's going to close it up as well, along with the wire. Now that sock made the cutest hat. And I'm going to glue that pom-pom right on top of the hat with hot glue. And here we have our hat and our face is all done. Now I'm just going to glue on a little snowflake there on the left upper side of the hat there. Super cute. I glued the hanger right onto the back of the hat. Now I have one more little thing that I want to do here. I have some snow. I was going to do glitter, but I decided to do snow, and I love Dollar Tree snow. It's very, the flakes of the snow is very small, and I love that, rather than a big flake on a fake snow. So I took my little spouncer and I dipped it in Mod Podge, which I squirted on that plate right there. Now I'm going to take that and just dab it across the top of the nose. So this little snowman here is going to have snow on his nose. And I have a little snow sprinkled on that plate there. Now I'm sprinkling it across the nose. I'm also going to put just a little tiny bit of the same Mod Podge and snowflakes on the snowman's cheeks. I am such a lover of handmade ornaments. I don't mind all the work that goes into them. I just love to look at the tree and see all the handmade ornaments. Just something so special about that. So I dumped off my excess snow, and look how cute this ornament is. Oh my. You can make 4, 5, 6 of these, put them around the tree. They would be so cute an addition to your Christmas tree. And here we have all 3 ornaments. One last look. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not currently a subscriber. And tell me which of these ornaments is your favorite. I would love to hear from you. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see on my content. I have some other ornament tutorials. Check those out. And I also have several coming up. Okay, you all take care. We'll see you next time.